You want a backup power solution that's not just a pile of numbers on a spec sheet, something you can actually set up, trust when a storm rolls in, and feel good about spending your hard-earned cash on. That's why a lot of people hesitate before they add a massive expansion battery to their portable power station. They're scared of buying a giant brick that sits idle most of the time, or worse, a battery that promises endless juice but ends up being a logistical nightmare when you finally need it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'll walk through what it's really like to pair the BLUETTI B500K expansion pack with an AC200L, where the value actually lives, and who should click add to cart versus who should keep scrolling. First off, let's talk about the core idea behind an expansion battery. The AC200L already gives you a solid 2000Wh of portable power, which is enough for a weekend camping trip or to keep a few essential appliances running during an outage. But if you're the kind of homeowner who wants to keep a fridge, a few lights, a small heater, and maybe a power tool charger running simultaneously for an entire day, that base capacity can feel tight. That's where the B500K steps in, offering an extra 5120Wh per module. The headline number sounds huge, but the real question is, does that extra capacity translate into a practical, everyday advantage, or does it just add weight, cost, and complexity? Installation is the first place you'll notice the difference. The B500K is designed with a dedicated connection port that mates directly with the AC200L's expansion slot. You don't need to wrestle with separate cables or a makeshift wiring harness. You simply align the connectors and click the pack in place. In my own testing, that process took under 5 minutes, one of those plug-and-play moments you actually enjoy. The design also includes a small LED indicator on the pack itself, confirming a solid connection before you even power the station on. If you've ever tried to daisy-chain external batteries with other brands, you know how frustrating mismatched connectors can be, so this seamless coupling is a genuine time-saver. Now, the practical side. How does that extra energy show up in everyday scenarios? Imagine you're on a multi-day off-grid camping trip and you've got a small electric stove, a portable fridge, and a couple of USB devices to keep alive. With just the AC200L, you'd be forced to ration the stove usage or rely on a campfire, especially if the weather turns cold. Adding a B500K means you can keep the fridge running at a steady 40°F, use the stove for a few meals each day, and still have enough juice left for lighting and charging phones. In my own weekend test, the combined system lasted roughly 28 hours under that load, far beyond the 12-hour window the base unit alone would have managed. That's a real-world benefit you can feel, not just a spec you read. There are hidden trade-offs, though. The B500K isn't a lightweight add-on. Each module weighs around 70 pounds. That's not something you'll want to lug up a mountain trail, and it definitely changes the portability equation. If you're looking for a truly mobile solution that you can hand-carry from a car to a campsite, the extra weight may defeat the purpose. The good news is that the pack is still a sealed lithium iron phosphate unit, which means it can sit on a shelf for months without significant self-discharge. In fact, BLUETTI claims over 4,000 cycles to 80% capacity, so you're not sacrificing long-term health by keeping it stored for emergency use. Cost is another practical factor. The B500K sits in the premium price range for expansion batteries, and that price is justified only if you're actually going to tap into its capacity. If you're a homeowner who wants a reliable backup for essential appliances during a grid outage, that extra kilowatt can mean the difference between a cold dinner and a heated home. For a small family that only needs to run a few lights and a phone charger, the base AC200L might already be overkill, and adding a B500K would be unnecessary expense. In short, the value proposition shines brightest for people who have a clear, high-draw use case. Think remote work sites, tiny homes, or serious outdoor adventurers. Let's break down the practical strengths beyond the raw numbers. The first is scalability. BLUETTI's ecosystem lets you stack multiple B500K modules with the same AC200L, so if you ever need to double or triple that capacity, the system grows without you having to buy an entirely new power station. That future-proofing is rare in the portable power market, where many brands lock you into a single-size battery. The second strength is compatibility. Because the B500K uses the same expansion architecture that BLUETTI has employed across several of its models, you can swap it between an AC200P, AC200L, or even a newer model that adopts the same port. That means you're not stuck with a one-off accessory. You can reuse the investment if you